Welcome to FRC Media News for Thursday, June 20th, 2019. I'm Keith Tebow. The ongoing Middle Street drainage project moves forward. We have an update. Children who attend Camp Welch, run by the Boys and Girls Club in Fall River, will see some upgrades. And we take a look back at the Kickoff summer event held at Ruggles Park over the last weekend. But first, let's check in with the news headlines of the week. We bring in Phil Devitt, the digital news editor at the Herald News. Phil, welcome back. How are you?
Thank you, Keith. I'm doing well. How are you today?
Good, thanks. It's budget week for the Fall River City Council, as the City Council this week is looking at Mayor Jaziel Correa's budget plan for fiscal year 2020. It's a process that the City Council undertakes every year, Phil, and what's important to note is this is obviously a checks and balance in terms of the mayor's proposed budget and the City Council overseeing the aspects of that budget. But in terms of the budget, Phil, just in general, City Council really can't do much. They can make some cuts, they can't make any additions, so they are limited in scope in terms of what they can do, correct?
Yeah, they're limited in what they can do, but what this process this week really serves to do is sort of lay out for not only the City Council but residents the meat and potatoes of this budget as it's been proposed. This stuff can be awfully confusing, awfully daunting. I believe last month when Mayor Correa revealed the budget proposal, it was about 400 plus pages in length. So a big undertaking to just gain a simple understanding of what's in this budget. But, this process helps. In addition to these hearings, which are being held this week, also the City Council invited residents to come in as required by the city charter now to ask questions and give their opinions about this budget.
Yeah, very interesting to see that happen. Day one was primarily a day where the Fall River School Department talked about its proposed spending plan for fiscal 2020. The city is looking at appropriating $105 million of the city portion of the school department budget, and that's at that 100% net school spending number. I know the superintendent of schools and the mayor are hoping that the state will be kicking in some more money once it finalizes the state budget and sends over its allocation to the city. So the city will be at about 101% of net school spending. And the City Council had a lot of questions concerning transportation and the addition of some, I believe, 70 positions for the school department.
Yeah, it was an interesting evening to say the least. And the superintendent, just to go back to your point about 101% net school spending, Superintendent Matthew Malone says it's critical for the district to get to that number in order to meet the needs of the students who are in the system, to paraphrase a quote from him last night. But yeah, some other details to come out of this meeting is that the proposal includes funding for 70 new positions, which would include paraprofessionals and people in leadership roles in the schools. We're looking into specifics beyond that at the moment. And of course, transportation would be one of the dominant points of discussion, as it has been the last several weeks here in the city. Complicating matters a bit is that last week the school committee, we might remember, threw out all of its transportation bids to start again. So it's got a $10.1 million appropriation in there. But I believe it was Mark Costa, the school committee's vice chairman, last night, who said, this number could come in higher, it could come in lower. We're just going to have to see what the new bids tell us. And I believe that there's a July 11th deadline on those new bids. So, transportation costs will probably not be completely clear until well after the entire municipal budget is approved.
Yeah. And I know that last week when you were speaking with Donna Mata on the show, you talked about how the school committee is and the school department looking at changing their transportation schedules and their opening schedules to try to offset some of that increased cost in transportation. So that'll be something we'll follow. City Council, again, right through Thursday, going to be meeting with city departments to ask questions. And there's a possibility. Obviously, the City Council has to vote on a budget before July 1. And I know that they can make cuts to the budget, but it doesn't necessarily mean, Phil, that the cuts that they make may actually impact that specific line item. I know in years past, the City Council cut money in the mayor's budget, and the mayor just took that budget and, even though it was less money, but reappropriated the funds to make it work for him. So even though the City Council may be saying it's cutting a specific line item, they're basically just cutting money from that pot of money within that one budget line.
Correct. And while it, to go back to your point about the City Council having limitations on what it can and cannot do, it definitely can say whether or not it gives the thumbs up or the thumbs down to this thing, and we anticipate that could happen as early as Thursday.
Right.
But a special meeting would be set for Monday, we're told, in the event that a vote doesn't happen this week.
Right. So next week, I'm sure we'll have all the details on what the city's budget will look like for 2020. All right, moving on. As we know, the city is looking to license some more medical marijuana dispensaries, but there is a proposed medical marijuana dispensary that's actually looking to reach out to the community and get some information and get some input before they start their business. And they're looking like they're holding a public hearing next week. Agricultural Healing looks like it's going to be holding a meeting with the community next Tuesday.
That's correct, Keith. June 25th looks like it's going to be the big day for this community outreach hearing. And for people who are heavily invested in the marijuana industry coming to the city, you might want to break out your calendar and jot this down, because it's sort of a deja vu kind of story with so many businesses now interested in opening medical or recreational facilities in the city. These types of hearings are a common occurrence, and I believe a necessary step along the way in these businesses gaining state approval to operate in the city. What makes this particular proposal stand out for Agricultural Healing, as we reported, is that this business is sort of in a less crowded field than the majority of the marijuana companies looking to set up here in the city,
right.
In that it's looking only at the moment for a medical license. But 6 other Fall River companies have been granted certificates, or provisional certificates, from the state, but they're usually also seeking permission to sell recreational marijuana.
Right. So this is a little different, and again, June 25th will be the hearing. It'll be at the Fall River Public Library at 5 p.m. So those interested in the medical marijuana field, and those especially in the neighborhood, I believe it's Lewiston Street, a mill building on Lewiston Street, may be interested in finding out more from this company next week. All right, Phil, one other item of note, a story in the paper during the middle of the week was the potential demolition of the former Borden School, and there's some issues around what the future use of that building would be, and the Preservation Society and Historical Commission actually looking at ways to still look at maybe preserving that building. What can you tell us about this? Yeah,
so preservationists in this city are certainly very passionate. We ran a story on Sunday of last week about preservation in this city and what it takes to save a property. This one in particular, the NB Borden School, I believe in part because Lizzie Borden went there as a young girl, has some strong, passionate support. A meeting held on Tuesday night with the Historical Commission, and the Preservation Society of Fall River brought to that commission a petition with 800 signatures from people saying, look, we want to save this property. We want to see it preserved. Now, some of those signatures are from residents. Some, the society admitted, are from people outside of the city. Mm-hmm. But it just goes to show you that this is something people are very vocal and passionate about. Now, the owner of this property, Kevin Santos, intends to demolish it and put up a parking lot. He says he's, poured well over $100,000 into repairs and upgrades in an attempt to save this property, but he says it's just not doable. The Historical Commission sort of pushing back on that, saying, we haven't seen a record of all of these supposed repairs and upgrades. Are you sure that everything that could be done has been done? So a bit of a back and forth at this meeting last night. What is in place is a 6-month demolition delay that ends this fall.
Right.
And what that delay does is allow exactly, what's happening right now, which is discussion to take place and possible considerations for attempts to save a property or other uses. So the clock is sort of ticking at the moment, and we're not sure which direction it'll go just yet, but it's certainly an interesting time for preservationists in the city.
All right, Phil, what's coming up over the next few days?
Well, like you said, Keith, there's a lot to this budget. We're still digging into that, and we hope to paint a better picture for people about what's coming out of these hearings and what they can expect in the next fiscal year.
All right, Phil, very good. Thanks for joining us. We'll talk again next week. Take care.
Thank you, Keith.
We'll have more FRC Media news after this.
Here are some job descriptions on the latest hot jobs list from the MassHire Fall River Career Center. 10-key data entry clerk, TransAnalysis Incorporated, located at 291 McGowan Street, is in need of a full-time 10-key data entry clerk, responsible for entering and updating data into the company's computer software system. Job number 1226570. Security guard, South Coast Health, located at 363 Highland Avenue, is looking for a full-time security guard, responsible for the protection of South Coast Hospital's group property, patients, guests, and staff members. Job number 1225773. Camp Cove crew member. Battleship Cove, located at 5 Water Street, Battleship Cove is looking for a full-time Camp Cove crew member to lead groups of no more than 10 campers in a wide variety of hands-on activities. Job number 122555134. The Fall River Public School Department, located at 417 Rock Street, is looking to fulfill the following full and part-time positions at Durfee High School. Music teacher, job number 122646662. JV girls soccer coach, job number 122648855. Arbor Counseling Services, located at 1082 Davall Street, is also looking to fulfill the following full and part-time positions. In-home therapist, job number 12264374. Clinical social worker, job number 12265446. For more information about these or other positions, visit masshire.quest.detma.org or call the MassHire Fall River Career Center at 508-730-5000.
Welcome back. The underground drainage work along Middle Street in Fall River has come to a close. Here's an update.
The status update on the Middle Street drainage project is all of the major pipe is in the ground. That's the pipe from Middle from Bay to Whipple Street, and also on South Main Street from Middle to Osborne Street. All of that pipe is in the ground. The contractor is working on the green bioswales, the plantings that run from Broadway to South Main on Middle Street. You can see the plantings, most of them are in already. Most of the new trees within Kennedy Park from Bay up to South Main have been planted. The contractor will now be working on curbing and sidewalk. We will be putting all new sidewalk on the south side of Kennedy Park, replacing all of that older sidewalk. Then the next step, once that's all the curbing and sidewalk work is complete, will be to do curb-to-curb paving throughout the entirety of the project from Bay to Whipple Street on Middle, and also that section of South Main up to Osborne Street. Anticipated completion date of all work is October 5th.
Wow, you're really seriously right on schedule.
We're doing okay. Contractor's done a wonderful job. The pipes are working, functioning well. There's just a lot of cleanup work to do between all of these sidewalk, curbing, and ultimately the paving, but it's proceeding along as planned.
Now, is the paving and the curb work part of the city's beautification program?
No, we've included it in this Middle Street project. So the trees are to replace the older diseased trees that we had to remove to put the pipe in. We've actually installed more trees than were removed. The green swale work that you'll see between Park Drive and Middle Street, those are referred to as bioswales, so water will initially go into those swales to be absorbed into the ground. The plants are there specifically to absorb water. The excess water will then go into the pipe, and there's a number of green tree filter boxes where there's a catch basin that the water will go into. A number of them have trees for that stormwater to feed the trees as well.
The Boys and Girls Club in Fall River has received financial assistance to complete upgrades at Camp Welch, home of the organization's summer program for local children located in nearby Assonet.
We were awarded a $530,000 grant to renovate our swimming pools out at camp, so we will have brand new pools. We're still, because of the weather, under a little bit of a crunch to get them done for the first week, but they will be operational. Should be definitely by the second week of camp. We've renovated our dining hall porch, and we're building a 40 by 120 foot pavilion. So it'll give kids a place for shelter in the event that rains, and so it's exciting. Camp has really been transformed. It's been led by a bunch of board members, Ken Resendiz from KR Resendiz, Brad Curtis, Bob Sanford, Mike Bisco, Becca Collins, Joe Correa. We have a big facilities committee, and they've been incredible in what they've done for the club.
Now, tell us about some of the activities the kids can partake in.
It's kind of free choice. They get to decide what they want to participate in. Could be athletics, basketball, soccer, baseball, wiffle ball. There's swimming, swim lessons, free swim, real arts and crafts. There's GIMP, there's the kind of camp arts and crafts, and there's plenty of free play where kids, whether it's playing in a sandbox if they're little kids, playing on swings, water. We have a water week where it's all kinds of activities around water. It might be relay races with sponges and buckets, and so the staff get pretty creative in the different activities they have.
The official deadline to return census forms in Fall River has come and gone. However, the city will still receive any completed forms, as we hear in this report.
The census is complete for 2019. We do have some people that still haven't brought it back to us yet, and we will be sending out confirmation cards within the next couple of weeks to all the voters that haven't sent it to us. So hopefully we'll get those all back by September, because in September, if you had not filled out the census or the confirmation card, you will have to show an ID when you go to vote.
Oh, but you can still vote.
But you can still vote. You just have to show the ID to say that, yes, I'm still living in Fall River.
So avoid that, do the census.
To avoid that, yes, please do the census.
Did they still have time?
Yes, you have plenty of time to do the census with us.
Heritage State Park in Fall River is the home of an exhibit featuring local immigrants who have emigrated to the Commonwealth. The photographer was on hand for a formal exhibit opening.
These are photographs of foreign-born residents of Massachusetts who have become naturalized citizens. So that's the premise of the book, to show the cultural diversity of Massachusetts. And every 10 years the census comes out, and I was going through it, and I noticed there were over 100 nationalities in the census, and it just piqued my curiosity to wonder, well, where are they? How do I meet them? How can I photograph them? And to put together a book of all the people to share their cultural diversity. Now, I'm not getting into any personal life story of them. Mainly, it's to have their name, their date of birth, date of citizenship, and the city that they reside in, and let them tell the story through their portrait. So that's basically it. And then we've added some other elements to the book that helps it be an educational supplement for teachers. There was a 4th grade teacher who came to an exhibit in Falmouth, Massachusetts, where I had these, and she said, this is a great lesson plan. I'm going to write a lesson plan. She gave me the lesson plan, and I incorporated it into the book. So it has an educational component of our identity. How do we feel about our identity and about others? And who are they and where are these countries located? So I've learned a lot about geography. This gentleman is from Togo. He was referred to me from a gentleman from Guyana. It's an international community. Everyone knows everybody, it seems. This woman is from Madagascar, and she happens to live in my same town as I do. And, excuse me, and so we met. So I'm trying to photograph a man and a woman from each country.
Media news right after this.
Thank you for considering a homeless pet today. I hope you enjoy what you're about to see, and as always, please feel free to contact the shelter before coming down to make sure that the pets you're viewing are still available for adoption. We can be reached at 508-677-9154.
Today we have Justin. He is a 1-year-old American Eskimo. He was an owner surrender. He loves other dogs. He's very, very playful. At first, he is a little shy. Once he comes out of his shell, he's a lot better. He was previously in a home with other children, so he does do good with kids. Come down and meet Justin because he'd love to go home with you. We are located at 300 Linwood Street, Fall River, Massachusetts.
Today we have Harvey. Harvey here, he's a senior gentleman, pretty senior in fact. He's at 15 years and 8 months. So he's kind of an old guy to be here at the shelter. Even despite his age and his outward appearance, he's actually in pretty good health for his age. We haven't found much wrong with him. And as you can tell, he's just kind of a gentle old man. He loves some attention. He's just kind of leaning right here into my hand right now. So if you're looking for kind of a milder cat, so kind of somebody that you can spend a cold winter's night curled up on the couch with, he would be a good option for you. So if you want to come down and meet Harvey, you can come down to 300 Linwood Street in Fall River, Massachusetts at Forever Paws Animal Shelter.
We have a couple of events to announce that may be of interest for people this Friday. The Red Cross is holding a blood drive from noon to 5 p.m. at Salt Fitness within Commonwealth Landing at 1082 Duval Street. For more information, call the Red Cross at 1-800-RED-CROSS or 1-800-733-2767. The United Way of Greater Fall River is sponsoring a day of action volunteer cleanup at the Kennedy Park Pavilion beginning at 9 a.m. on Friday. They're asking people to show up and lend a hand in what is traditionally the longest day of the year on June 21st. School is officially over in Fall River. To celebrate a kickoff to summer event that was held in the city, we take a look back.
Brought to you by Recreation in the city of Fall River and numerous nonprofit agencies, Domino's Pizza, handing out pizza. We've got music, bouncy houses, all kinds of great stuff here in Ruggles Park. And we just redid these sidewalks. You got to come check them out. They really are beautiful. And we've got thousands of kids out here having a good time with their families and friends. And it's just a great way to kick off summer with 80 degrees and no clouds.
And we're here today at our Kids Kickoff to Summer at Ruggles Park, promoting our summer lunch program, which will start on June 24th until August 21st. We will be at 9 parks and 5 housing developments. So we want kids to come out and get a free lunch and do some awesome activities throughout the day between 11 and 3. We ask that folks come to our office to pick up a beautiful brochure that lists all of our activities and all the sites for the lunch program. Again, We are going to be starting our lunch program on June 24th until August 21st.
That'll do it for this edition of FRC Media News. You can watch FRC Media News Thursdays and Fridays at 6 p.m. and find all of our stories online at frcmedianews.org. For all of us here at FRC Media News, I'm Keith Tebow. Have a great week, and we'll see you next Thursday.